A major goal of e-commerce brands that come into my program, the Ecom Blueprint and Up-Level Mastermind, where we help e-commerce brands scale to record revenue months, is how do I achieve sales consistently? So people just want consistency. I think that's the biggest thing that people want when they come and speak to me. They have erratic and sporadic sales throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And certainly they suffer from a lot of seasonality with their brands as well. And so a heavy discussion point, particularly coming out of, let's call it heavy sales periods, where something like end of financial year or Black Friday or even sort of like afterpay days and simple promotional days like that can create a lot of momentum and empty our pipe in terms of who's there and ready and active to buy. They then don't go and buy and convert, stock up on product. How do we continue that momentum, right? How do we have as good a month, week, or day as we just had with the promotion rolling into the next period? And I'll firstly say that it's a little bit unrealistic to expect that. I'll just be completely honest, as I do with my clients, because if that was happening all the time, then, we would have infinite amounts of budget to promote. We'd have infinite amounts of people to speak to, which we do, but it's always a push and pull between how much we can invest in reaching new people versus how much we can go and push and promote. So there are brands out there. There are multi-million, multi-billion-dollar brands that definitely can be on sale all the time and reaching new audiences all the time with that. People doing less than $10,000 or $20,000 per month don't necessarily have that luxury. And so they do suffer from this period. Now, not to say that big brands don't suffer from their own pushes and pulls. They absolutely do. And that is, if you think that, that's a misconception that they don't, right? That there are fluctuations. Typically what we look at when it comes to the brands that we work with is not just one day or weekly fluctuations or metrics, right? You will see days like this where Monday, Tuesday is high, and then, Meta goes after some other group of people like you and they get nothing, and then they get a lot of people and they get nothing. And so that's expected. But what we look at is really the month-on-month results, especially comparing that to the previous year. So if you have a really high sales period, hopefully that was, 2x, 5x, 10x better than the previous year-on-year growth from last year. And that's how we want to look at those sales periods. But then moving into, as I say, let's call it hangover periods of big sales, we need to know what the expectations are there and then the goal to actually set, which will then roll out the strategy for. So firstly, when it comes to expectations, we have a hangover. As I said before, we have emptied the pipe of people that are going to buy from us. People that were sitting on the fence that have either purchased before and they see a great offer when they know a great offer when they see one, or people that haven't bought before from you, so it lowers the bar to give them the opportunity to do so. Tick, tick. But it means, okay, people we've got to speak to about our brand, they're going to buy stuff on full price. We're limited by those people. And so the expectation is that we're going to reduce our sales. We just don't want to go back to where we were pre this sales period or where we were last year either. We want the lows to be higher than what they were, and in the same light, the highs to be higher than they are. So we're basically ebbing and flowing as we make progress throughout the months and years that we're actually in business. So firstly is expectation setting. But that does not mean that we rest on our laurels. It does not mean that we just suddenly accept that things are going to be quiet and we do nothing. It's actually quite the opposite. We almost need to work harder, but more strategically with what we then go and do to create the momentum again, because that's what it's going to be. We created all this momentum to the sales period. We get great results. Everyone's happy, fantastic. But then we get this dip. And so we need to then rebuild the momentum. And we don't do that through creating more urgency or scarcity like a sale or a significant offer does. So expectations need to be set. We're not going hard on heavy sales. We are focusing on education, building the momentum, gratifying the level of trust and authority that we have within our market. And they're different marketing messages, different propositions. Okay, so the first thing is expectation setting. The goal then becomes those things that I just mentioned. Building momentum, expanding our audience, building our database, and then aligning ourselves with the objective or the outcome that the actual customer or potential customer wants. Okay, so again, that comes through trust. It comes through proof. We've had a lot of this momentum that we can roll on to the next period of time. So don't think that you don't have any tools or any value to add by rolling into a month where you don't have 50% off or 30% off or whatever the offer that you used that was working significantly. Don't think that you don't have tools at your disposal. Because what we do, the real advantage of having sales and offer periods is that you accumulate a large customer base. And that's exactly what we want, because that's what compounds over time. You get more customers in, more customers in, more customers in. You have a certain level of retention or repeat buyers, which is just depending on what product is going to be, obviously the percentage that you get in terms of repeat buyers. But the mass grows. So in really like grassroots terms, that means more people have your product in their hands, right? That's a really common thing, again, that I hear people say, if only I get more people's hands. That's what sales periods and offers are able to do. And so more people are going to be speaking to their networks and making them aware of your product, right? So it's just this natural, even word of mouth referral type that you'll get. Then people start seeing your ads, they'll start jumping on your mailing list and all this sort of stuff. So it's this compound effect over time. And the faster that we can build, the more successful, the quicker we're going to be successful and hit our revenue targets. That's what we do. So if you think about it in momentum and harvesting, or what I call planting seeds and harvesting periods, where in the off periods or off months that we're not heavily promoting or discounting or whatever, we are planting those seeds. We're building those audiences so that it comes time to harvest, extract sales. We have some people to speak to. We have new people to speak to that, again, in one of those two categories, are either loyal customers or they've been sitting around waiting and this is their opportunity to jump over the fence and become a customer. So it's a really exciting period. So in the hangover period, right, that's what I said, the expectations and the goals is to build momentum. And then certainly we can create more re-offers. Don't think that you can't be offering. We should always be offering every single month. In fact, up to 2 to 3 to 4 times per month, we can do this. And it's not cheapening your brand. It's not, training people to only buy when it's on sale. It's not that at all. You need to think a little bit outside the box. Use ChatGPT to create offers that almost repackage what you've already got, because a big mistake that e-commerce brand owners make or brand owners make is assuming that people know everything about their brand. They know the free shipping threshold. They know how good the value bundle is with 1, 2, 3, 4 product and how much discount that has. They know what their best selling product does. It's absolutely incorrect. There's going to be some loyal customers. There's going to be some people that know, but you have to assume as the business owner that no one knows anything about your brand. We have to humble ourselves, but you can use that as a tool to say, well, everybody wants to know everything about our brand. And so when you create offers, you can, like, say for the end of financial year or post Black Friday, whatever it might be, you can create an additional period in those first 7 to 10 days to say, in case you missed it, or this was our best seller during this period and we've restocked, or, some sort of XYZ to repackage something that you've already done, or create an offer that ensures that people come back around. Because I can promise you, there are still people in your network that hadn't seen the offer. If you look at your data in Shopify, you will see people buy in the following days post your sale. Now, that's not because they're silly or idiots or anything like that. It's because they're busy. It's because they didn't realize maybe they saw the email from 5 days ago. Maybe they saw your ad or your post from 5 days ago. And so people buy. So let's give them an excuse to go ahead and buy. So you can create an offer in those first 7 to 10 days. The middle period of the month can be education. It can be testimonials. It can be before and afters. It can be results from customers that you've acquired in that period of time, dealing with the objections that you overcame, or they overcame, even better if it's in their own words, right? Building out social proofing. It can be just educational around your product, how to use it, what it's good for, this XYZ benefit. For example, the cold pressed juice cleansing, it's beneficial to do consecutive cleanses, whether it's every single week or every single month. And you can educate people on that and get them thinking in different ways, not just sell, sell, sell. And then towards the end of the month, you can also do another offer. Again, if it's a consumable, it might be like, hey, you're coming up to your 30 days. This is why we continue on. This is, a subscription that we have. Again, people wouldn't know that that might have subscriptions. And there's an offer there that they get straight away. Typically, it's like a 10% off that purchase, or all purchases moving forwards. So we can't assume that anyone knows anything, but the point of this message is to say we never rest on a strong performing period of time. We never accept that things are going to be quiet so that we do nothing in response to that. That's not what successful brands do. That's not what 7, 8, and 9-figure brands do. They are always building their database. They are always building their networks through all their marketing channels. And then on those other periods, they are always promoting or presenting offers, whatever that might look like. There are infinite ways that you can present offers to your audience, your database, people in your network, to encourage them to continue to buy. So use these periods as testing periods, as data gathering periods. You might have an offer that does really, really well. You might have an offer that absolutely bombs. You might be able to learn something from those experiences. No doubt you actually will. In fact, we should. But if you sit doing nothing and waiting for people to fire back up and create their own momentum, it'll never happen. Or it won't happen to the degree that is going to benefit you for the next pivotal period of time. So as an example, I'm encouraging people. I'm talking to people in my networks, in my community, in my paid programs, saying, guys, exactly what I'm telling you here in terms of July, August, September, and post-sale periods. But I'm basically saying what you're doing between now and 3 to 4 months when we do the next offer, which might be Black Friday in this instance, counts, right? The people that you can acquire, the people that you can start to educate and start to warm, that's going to make your Black Friday period the best it can possibly be. That's where we see the 2, 5, 10x what you've done ever in your monthly revenues. And it is incredibly gratifying to see all of that work from this point, this day dot, this hangover period, where we take action and consciously build our networks and start to warm people up and educate and entice, into that period where it's like, cool, we just need to pull a few triggers. We just need to send a few emails. We need to post a couple of ads and we're good. We will reap those rewards. Obviously the strategy in amongst that, but it really is speaking to the people that you've acquired in those 3, 4, 5, 6 months prior to presenting this fantastic offer. Even the offer has been tested before by doing so in the previous period. So this is my message to you. Yes, we have amazing sales periods. Tick, 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 tick. It means you're doing something right. And then yes, we have hangover periods is what I call them, where it's just quieter. And so we need to be continually to be active. We need to refocus our expectations, refocus our goal, what we're actually looking to achieve here. And we also want to make money in the meantime to make sure that our months are higher than what our lower post-sale months have historically been. And that's how we do it, with a plan, with a proper strategy. Okay. So look, I hope this was valuable for you. If it was, I'd love a like, love a subscribe. If you want to know more about how we help e-commerce brands, then click on the link below, check it out. But other than that, thanks for being here and I'll catch you in the next one.